Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with the FX Market Insight for Monday, the 24th of August. All right, now let's just have a look at the where those North American markets closed on Friday. Up, slight risk on. Okay, the Dow Jones up just under 0.7, and same for the Nasdaq. So a little bit of a positive tone there for the dollar actually to come into this. Now, sort of devil's in the detail. I mean, I'll come back to the correlation matrix, but you can see some of these equity markets are really starting to come back and give us some clear direction on specific pairs. So it's worth having a look if they've got meta stock. But now let me just come back to why has the dollar sort of come back a little bit. Now, this is it's a pretty good sign, right? You see, you got the dollar index here just popping up back above, 93, sort of 10-ish, 10.15. A little bit of a, we had that sort of weakness in the dollar going sort of most of last week. Now it's sort of coming back into a bit more secure footing. And what that really comes back to, and this is sort of coming back, we're seeing moments or periods where the economic data is actually impacting, and then other periods where it's not. Now, we had a bunch of data here out of Europe. Actually, if I just go up just a touch, some German and Eurozone PMI data, right, came out weaker than expected. Now, that sort of put a negative tone on the euro. And then we had some US PMI data, which was stronger than expected. So we've got a bit of a double whammy, right? And what I mean by that is strong dollar, weak euro, right? So obviously the dollar index is 58, or euro is 58% of the basket, 57.8, whichever way you want to look at it. And that's given us a very clear sort of picture here and trading opportunity on euro itself. So, the data drops out of Europe, this thing starts to fall to the downside, and it's confirmed, with that stronger US number. So that is a really nice thing to see. And it's easy to trade because you can actually see it, but I know a lot of traders didn't jump on it primarily because the market has been a bit inconsistent with the macro data, right? So, but to me, a lot of these currency pairs right at the moment, you can see them sitting around or just under short-term support lines, right? And dollar yen and sort of dollar CAD sort of just drifting sideways. But these are the pairs, they're really at the crossroads. And what I mean by that is they've been, we've seen that dollar weakness over the last sort of month or so, or a couple of months. Now we're starting to see the dollar come back, and it's more on weaker, European data, right? It's not about the US anymore. It's about weakness in those other countries. So to me, these are right at the crossroads. And if anything, with that data from Friday, my gut feel is we're going to see a little bit more of a stronger dollar, and we should see potentially euro go, like all these four pairs, which generally correlate, the Aussie, Kiwi, euro, and sterling. We can see these pairs sort of drift lower. But you know what? Keep an eye on your trend lines, right? This is not easy. Look at these massive ranges that sterling's been banging around. I mean, that is really tough trading. Euro, plain Jane, simple, right? Aussie and Kiwi. Well, the Kiwi has had a little bit of a negative tone. The Aussie sort of keeps hanging in there. Now, let me just give you a look at the some of these charts. Well, let's just have a look at the Aussie now. This thing is just drifting sideways. Now, if I keep on moving the trend line across, we've just got it from the low to the current point. It's not really, I would say, any sort of relative level. I mean, if anything, you could start drawing trend lines from these lows would be more relevant than just one from the downside. And you can see how it's getting close to these trend lines and just sort of ticking along sideways. What we're lacking is, the knockout punch. Strong Aussie data or weak Aussie data, and vice versa for the US dollar. So where the Aussie and Kiwi get their cues from at the moment is from the dollar, and if anything, from its big brother, the euro, right? So just keep an eye on that as we go through this week. Now, let me just bring you back to the daily market insight. There's a few things to go on here right now. If you come back to the overall analysis here, as I said, we've lost that full traction of the short-term momentum going with the longer-term trends, and that makes it a little bit difficult to work out what's going on, right? So just at the moment, there's a lot of indecisiveness where where the momentum's coming from and where the trends are going. But just have a look. If you look through the macroeconomic data now, there's a few things impacting already last week. To me, the German IFO business climate on Tuesday, key number. It's about business, confidence and all that sort of stuff. So that's a good one. You've also got the CB consumer confidence in the US. But most importantly, think about the week as a whole, as one big day, right? We've got the Jackson Hole Economic Symposium. Now, a lot of the central bank governors, chairmen, presidents will be joining up online. But this is one of those events. There's a lot of hoo-ha, a lot of sort of talking, a lot of yapping. Will we get some answers? I don't know. But you know what? These guys could maybe come together and give us some sort of answers. So you will have through, as the week gets going, we'll start to, by the end of the week, we'll start to see a lot of these central bank governors speaking. The Fed, Bank of Canada, Bank of England, and I'm sure there'll be a few other alacadoos out there sort of coming through as well. But earlier in the week, look, keep an eye on the core data, right? New home sales, core durable goods in the US, numbers that really can move the US dollar. If we start to see an uptick in this data, well then, as I was saying, the currencies are at a crossroad. We could see, the euro easily come off 200 points and drag the Aussie, sterling, Kiwi down with it. That is a very big potential. Of course, if the data comes out, turns out weak, well, we could get that, sideways movement, maybe a little bit of a correction on the downside on the dollar, and the other pairs rally a bit. So really what we're looking for is a bit more clarity on the macroeconomic side. And at the moment, all you can do on a Monday, especially like this, where we do have, where your charts are looking a little bit scratchy, all we can do is wait for the market to open up, draw our trend lines as best we can. Make sure you go through your charts on multiple time frames. That's going to give you a bit more of an idea of what's going on. And then we can start to piece together the whole move. Now, the euro, as I was saying, like it's best been, rallying, trading sideways in a pretty big range. Now it's broken down here. You can see there's an easy 200-point move to the downside here before it hits support. So to me, that's a big opportunity. Same for sort of sterling. Except sterling, it's got its own issues with these Brexit talks and what have you. Aussie, once again, it looks a bit dire down here. There's like a big gap, not much in the way of support there either. If I just give you a look at the Kiwi, it's pretty similar. So if we see an event where there's a strong dollar outlook, these currencies here, there's a huge amount of room to move on the downside without hitting any major levels. We could see a big correction. Now, I can't see anything out there as far as getting the US dollar rallying, but you never know what's around the corner, right? So just first thing I would encourage you to do on a Monday, okay, get your charts obviously tuned up, come back and have a bit of a read through what's going on there on the news. There's storms in the Gulf Coast. There's bits and pieces. Obviously, the Donald gets a bit of a mention. What isn't in here a lot, which I haven't, I'm waiting to see, or there's a bit here, tech wars with the US, is that US-China trade battle. Right? That's got to rear its ugly head at some stage. You'd have to think. All right, guys, and that's pretty much it. There's, a bit more to play for. Geopolitics coming into play. It's a good sign that, I'd say we're a long way from clear market conditions or normal market conditions, but we are starting to see the data come into play. And the more that happens, the more traders will jump on it. And that's exactly what we're looking for. All right, guys, have a good trade week. Cheerio.